All right, guys, so the NBA playoffs is going crazy right now. And as we get close to the end, I want you to do what I do, partner up with the DraftKings Sportsbook. And I'm going to give all you new customers an opportunity to bet, but not even really have to worry about losing the bet. How about a no-sweat bet? Whatever your original bet is, and DraftKings will match that first bet up to $1,500 by using my promo code DCTV. All you got to do, whatever your original bet is, use my promo code DCTV. DraftKings will match that original bet up to $1,500. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Sign up using my promo code DCTV. Get a no-sweat bet in the amount of your original bet up to $1,500. When the NBA playoffs are as good as they are right now, DraftKings is up in the ante. Guys, go to DraftKings Sportsbook right now, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And at DraftKings, the crown is yours. All right, guys, another good weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I know you guys are going to have a fantastic holiday, as I am, as we are on the verge of UFC 302. Such excitement as we head into Newark week. You know, every time we start to think about the schedule, matches being made, pay-per-views, what they look like, you're always kind of keeping your ear to the ground to see the reaction to the new matchups. One, Michael Venom Page is going to fight Ian Garry. We all know that Ian Garry and Colby Covington has this long history. I don't know why these dudes are not fighting. It makes zero sense that they're not, but MVP getting that fight, big deal, and I will talk about that a little bit. Also, we'll talk about Conor McGregor and the $20 million gate that is already said to be the largest gate in T-Mobile history that has been accomplished. I will tell you some of the reasons why that is. Also, is Michael Chandler, right? Does Michael Chandler play a part in the gate, or is it a matter of just Conor McGregor being Conor McGregor? We will discuss this. Also, we will talk about my boy Luis. Guys, Luis has a press pass now, and Luis goes to every fight. My boy's official, right? We at the Volume Sports and at Daniel Cormier TV are on the map now. Our boy Luis gets a media pass. So this boy right here is already at UFC 302. He's already at the Conor McGregor fight. He already at the John Jones fight. He already at the Aspinall fight. Wherever the boy Luis goes, Luis has access to the events thanks to the good people at the UFC PR. My boy Luis now is credential official. We press up in here, baby. The boy DC has totally made the switch. All right. UFC 303 does go down at the T-Mobile Arena. Conor McGregor fights Michael Chandler. Obviously, a lot is going to be made about Conor McGregor. One, let me tell you one big thing in how big a Conor McGregor event is. And you could tell if it's big because they have a press conference in Dublin next week. Generally, the press conference happens the week before the fight. There's one in Dublin. Let me tell you a big telltale sign. Is Dana White going to Dublin? Because there are times when we don't see the boss at the press conferences in the United States. His schedule is so packed, but I bet that schedule gets cleared to go to that press conference, or at least that would be my best guess. Tell me in the comments if you believe that he is going to be in Dublin for that press event. It is going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy to see those two guys on that panel discussing the upcoming UFC 303 pay-per-view. You know, not everyone gets that type of treatment. McGregor gets that type of treatment because of who he is and what he's been to the sport, the time that he's been away, and regardless of how much time he is gone, every time he comes back or he pretends to come back, people get interested, people get to talking. Now he's actually coming back, or it seems that way, and because he's coming back, the gate already says $20 million. We are still quite a ways away from this fight, but it says that the gate is $20 million. Guys, that's a massive gate. It's very hard to sell $20 million in tickets. But I will tell you this right now. The cheapest ticket, let me look at this, at Ticketmaster, $930. That's the cheapest ticket. Because what happens with tickets, they go on sale at a normal price. People will scoop all those tickets up and they resell them. The amount of demand will tell you if those tickets resell at the price that you try to get. For comparison, Luis went to UFC 299 and nosebleeds was $650 to watch Sean O'Malley. Those are the metrics at which you gauge a guy outside of just pay-per-view. We are still, 5-6 weeks away from this fight, and the cheapest ticket is $930. That will only go up as the fight gets closer. Doesn't happen very often. But then it leads me to this question. And I think I know what you guys will say, but let me lay out some facts for you. First, the question, does Michael Chandler play any part in that gate? We have seen Chandler say on a couple of occasions now, 20 million gate, let's go see you at the top, right? That's his thing. But does Michael Chandler play any part in that gate, or does Conor McGregor fighting anyone warrant that? Because remember, he did headline against Cowboy Cerrone, and it didn't make what this one is going to make. Remember, Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, while it has been a while ago, did coach the Ultimate Fighter together, so they have some history. Remember that we have been waiting for this fight now for a really long time. So there is that anticipation of the fight happening. So does Michael Chandler, I ask you again, play a part in the $20 million gate? Because to me, I think he does. I think he does because of all the reasons I gave you. People have been wanting this fight. They did the Ultimate Fighter. They have done everything promotionally that they can to make for a big event. So, hell yeah, Michael Chandler plays a part in it. At least to my opinion, I believe that he makes or plays a part in the amount of money that is sold at the door. Sure, you say Conor McGregor fight anybody, but they don't all do that. They don't all do that. And when you go and look at things in the past, because it's all we have to go on, you can look at the numbers and see that they don't all do that. So yes, in my opinion, Michael Chandler plays a part in the amount of money that is made at the gate. You guys in the comments tell me if you agree. I do believe, though, that McGregor will be viewed by many and it will be a sellout. That is no question. He holds most of the highest grossing gates in UFC history. Luis dropped that in the chat. He holds most of the pay-per-view records for the UFC. So I'm not saying that he needs Michael Chandler to make the fight, but I am saying that Michael Chandler plays a part in making the fight. So I'm looking here. When Dustin Poirier was asked about this, because everybody has an opinion, right? Dustin Poirier is a smart guy. Dustin Poirier has fought both of these guys. Dustin Poirier stated, I think if Conor comes back anywhere similar to where he was before the injury, timing-wise and movement-wise, I think he's going to knock Michael Chandler out. He believes it's just a bad matchup for Michael Chandler. Look, guys, we've been saying this, right? We've been saying that there's a reason that this fight stayed together. There's a reason that Conor McGregor really wants to fight Michael Chandler, and it's because of Chandler's willingness to stand out there and fight. That is also why Michael Chandler has made so much money. I have seen very recently, Justin Gaethje said, I could have a wrestle-heavy approach, but the UFC would not be paying me what they paid me today if I wasn't out there having fun. Same thing can be said for Michael Chandler. Same thing. Because if not for the explosive knockouts and all those other things, wouldn't happen. Here we go. McGregor has all of the top 6 McGregor has all of the top 6 pay-per-view and 8 of the top 10 pay-per-view numbers in UFC history. McGregor will also be at the very top of the gates. So I'm saying that Michael Chandler or Conor McGregor will still sell. But I do believe Michael Chandler be a part of the equation, and all the history, the backstory that goes with it now does play a part in it also. On that same fight night, Ian Garry will fight Michael Venom Page. Now, everybody was very excited about this matchup. And while I am too, I have to ask the question on the other side. Stylistically, what do we anticipate happening in this matchup? Because so many were excited to watch Michael Venom Page against Kevin Holland, and he frustrated Kevin Holland so badly that Kevin almost wanted to be like, yo, I'm done with this shit. I don't want to do this no more. Ian Garry will also frustrate you in that way. So who's going to lead in this fight? I think that is going to be the biggest area or the biggest like narrative or the biggest story of this fight. Who's going to lead? Who's going to take chances? Is Michael Venom Page going to be desperate to make a bigger impact in fight number 2? Or does Ian Garry, love him or hate him, guys, he's a very smart kid, very smart fighter, does he recognize the danger so well against Michael Venom Page that he's not going to be willing to take chances because Michael's such a great counter striker? This fight, to me, could be fun or it could be a complete snoozer. My thought, though, is this, and this is my expectation. When you get these super high-level strikers like that, and the puzzles are so hard to decipher, at times guys will fight in a way that is unfamiliar of the person we're used to seeing. I think that's what we're going to get. I think Michael Venom Page, because of all the expectation in fight 1 and the anticipation and the walkout, dude got his own walkout, and the fight not really living up to it, will feel he has to prove a point, so he's going to be more active. Ian Garry, for his part, will be who he is, and when Venom Page is more active, it will give Ian more opportunities to try to capitalize. I believe this one's going to be fun. I believe the energy in that arena is going to elevate these guys, and I believe that we're going to see one of the better fights that we've seen from these two. Now, MVP has been stopped before. He's been knocked out. He's got to be very careful. The reason he fights in that way is because of the knockouts, because he's been put down. That's why he has to be very careful. That's why his defenses are so tight now that he doesn't really take those chances anymore, like has happened to him in the past on a couple of occasions. I believe this one's going to be fantastic. I think that whole fight card's going to be fantastic. You know, next week we go to Newark. Dustin Poirier is speaking about this almost being his last dance. I hate that. I honestly cannot stand that. I can't stand hearing that it's almost over for a guy that we all universally love and enjoy when he's inside the octagon. I also hate it for another reason. I hate it for the idea that it could be almost over, and he recognizes that. I don't like when athletes, because I did it myself, so I'm almost judging myself. I don't love when athletes put a timeline or a finishing point on a career that's still actively going on. That is a hard thing to do, because I will tell you this right now. The life after the fight, while it may be hard to adjust to initially, when you look at it from the inside and you're going through those training camps and everything's so tough and you're exhausted and you're fighting one of the most dangerous people in the world, the other side seems very nice. The other side's even better. than you could ever imagine. So when you start looking to the other side, when you start looking to a time where you don't have to get up every morning and run 7 miles, or you don't have to spar, you don't have to grapple, you have to wrestle, you have to do all these things, it really does open up a world that the active fighter should never really think about. And again, he may be just different than me, but I know what it did to me at the end of my career, because I started looking to the time where I ain't got to worry about cutting the weight and doing all this other stuff. That's miserable. Life afterwards is vacations and beaches and eating what you want and doing whatever you want. I don't love that there's so many references to my last chance or my last dance. I'm not committing to retirement. It's like, if you have any desire to fight, you got to be so in the fight that there is no thought of what comes next. And I don't love that. I just don't love that. I mean, Khabib walked away and nobody even knew. Those internal conversations he had with himself, he did that on his own. And the problem with bringing up the retirement is it becomes the story of the fight. I'm going to sit down with Dustin Poirier next week and check in with him, and Islam Makhachev, and I'm going to check in with Paulo Costa, and I'm going to check in with Sean Strickland. But when I sit down with Dustin Poirier, I'm going to ask him about retirement. I didn't want to have to do that. Here's the problem. When we were in Miami and we sat down together and chatted, I asked him about a title fight. Retirement was not even a part of the equation. I did not know, though, that a title fight would lead to retirement talks, because, again, I don't believe that if he had another fight to win to get to a championship opportunity, it would even be a question. I believe the retirement talk is coming up right now, because in the worst case scenario for Dustin, he loses. He knows he doesn't have it in him to build back to another championship opportunity. So while the title fight is a blessing, it's also a curse, because we may lose one of the most fun guys that we have got to watch over the course of the last, 13 years, from the WEC to the UFC, walk away. And that would suck, because Dustin Poirier is a fighter. But I don't love that, man. I really don't love that. Last thing, guys, before we go, Mateusz Gamrot is going off on Charles Oliveira for wanting to fight Colby Covington. Guys now know that Charles Oliveira is willing to fight the young up-and-comer. I mean, he just did it with Arman Tsarukyan, right? So Mateusz Gamrot's sitting there going, hey, I'm right here too, and I'm exactly what he was. Hell, I beat him. I beat Gamrot. No, sorry. I beat Tsarukyan. Give me an opportunity. But Charles now sees that Colby's not booked. Why not fight Colby Covington? So Gamrot then says, I asked to fight Oliveira, but he called out Colby instead. Guy who only fights once a year and is 2-3 since 2019. We thought you were better than that, Charles. You know I'll give you fire on the ground, but maybe that's why you'd rather fight Colby. Look, I love that Gamrot shooting a shot, but if there's a guy that is not avoiding a fight, it's Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira ain't afraid of anyone. Charles Oliveira, I believe, is at a point in his career now where he deserves the big fight, and I don't know that he feels the risk equals the value in it, because even if he beats Mateusz Gamrot, he ain't getting a title shot. That belongs to Tsarukyan. Still got to wait. There's a couple fights for Charles Oliveira, so I figure Charles Oliveira is probably thinking, I'll fight the big fight now, and I'll work my way back to those championship opportunities. But one thing you got to do, though, you have to ask, You have to ask. Because when Benoit Saint-Denis said Dustin Poirier's name, we laughed at him on air. I said, Benoit, love that you shot your shot, but there is no way you get Dustin Poirier. Benoit Saint-Denis got Dustin Poirier. Seriously, you got Dustin Poirier. So you have to ask. Love that Gamrot's asking. I don't know that it happens. Charles, for his part, though, would rather just be the backup fighter for McGregor and Chandler. And guess what? He could. He could, and no one would ever say anything about it. Now, Charles is going about it wrong. He's got demands. No, Charles, can't have demands. You got to just say, I'm willing to do it. I'll be there. I'll be in Vegas. I'll be at the weight. If you need me, you got me. Can't have demands because of the fight that you just lost against Arman. And it would honestly be the biggest fight he could get right now. So, Gamrot, keep taking your shots. All young fighters, keep taking your shots because right now, anything could happen. I don't anticipate that happening for him, though. It'll be somebody different. All those guys will fight anyone, though. Gamrot, here's a thought. How about calling out Justin Gaethje? Said he'll be away for a while, but he's coming off a loss, and Justin Gaethje will be looking to prove himself. He fought against Fiziev, so you know he's not turning down the fight. Maybe bark up that Justin Gaethje tree to see if that works out for you. All right, guys. Like I said, happy Memorial Day. Memorial Day used to be a great fight weekend for the UFC, and I'm so sad that that's not the case anymore. Some of the biggest fights in UFC history took place on Memorial Day weekend, and Las Vegas used to be cracking. I hope that at some point the UFC can get back to some of those days on the schedule, from the end of the year fight that used to happen, or the beginning of the year fight that used to happen the first weekend of January, to Memorial Day weekend. I think it would be very good for not only the new fan to relive some of the history, but also for the hardcore old school fan to kind of be able to live and relive those memories that we used to have on those big Memorial Day weekend cards. See you guys next week in Newark. Islam Makhachev takes on Dustin Poirier. Sean Strickland takes on Paulo Costa. And I will be chatting with all four of those gentlemen early in the week next week. Till next time, like, subscribe, tell your friends that DC's got a YouTube channel, and I'm checking in, dropping knowledge, and really just trying to spend some time with you guys constantly on this channel. Tell your friends, though, hit that like button, subscribe to it, and also go follow us on TikTok, go follow us on Instagram, go follow us on Facebook. We're all over right now. And wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to this audio only. Till next time, guys, peace.